If you've been playing fighting games for a while and you're looking for a new way to control your character, and perhaps you were thinking leverless, then the Haute 42 might be the best way for you to do that on a budget. Hi there, McAllister here with SOCD, and if you've been watching this channel over the last few years, or if you're just joining in today, TLDR is I've been playing Street Fighter for a while now, about 2 years, and I use the Victrix Pro. That is a large controller. It was very expensive, and there was just not many options for PS5 at the time. But now I've been playing the game so much, I own it on PC, I own it on PS5, and this Haute 42 is probably the cheapest way to get into leverless controllers. So let's talk about it. So this is what they call a leverless layout. What you'll have here, it's going to be hard, I'm looking in reverse, is you'll have your 8 buttons for light, medium, heavy, and then at the end these drive parry or drive rush buttons. You have 2 special macro buttons that sit both here and right here at the top. So these macro buttons can be used to set up something special. Maybe you want another drive parry, you want it closer to your thumb, where you'll be jumping because you want to try that. Or maybe you want to add grab or something special to your character. Maybe you have a button combo. You can go in there and edit those settings and add in these macros. Over here is kind of your movement side, so split down the middle. We've got this movement. These are your left, right, and down, and then your jump is here or here. You can decide which one you like. If you're more interested in WASD and want to play, like this, you could do that, or you can keep your thumb here like you're used to spacebar for jump. So it's up to you. Once again, another macro right here that you could set up however you like. This little screen here claims to be an OLED screen. I don't know if it's OLED, but it does look very cool, and it shows you what buttons you're pressing. It's not necessarily 100% needed, but it'll tell you what mode you're in and then show you which buttons are being pressed. When you start up the device, it'll always start up in Windows mode, but on the back here you can see these input modes are super simple to do. It should just be you hold down the button while you plug it in so that it sees that it's held down. When it gets plugged in, it should automatically switch to the console of your choice, those being Switch. XI input is Windows, which I believe will work for Xbox, but don't quote me on that. RT, which will be keyboard, PS4 is Y, and PS3/D input is X. So if you want to get any of those going, do that. As for the buttons up here, you've got your normal start, select, options, all that. They will tell you the breakdown in the actual manual for which one's which and when you've switched over, but there are also little layout reminders inside the PCB underneath the acrylic. As far as this device goes, it uses keyboard switches, so when you hit it, you hear this little bottoming out of the actual button itself, but the switches themselves work just fine, so if you play it on a keyboard, it'll feel very familiar. These ones are more like a linear switch. There's no tactile bump when they hit it, so you're not looking at something clicky. Like if you've heard a gamer play on their Razer Blues or just their Blues, you'll hear that, thwack, thwack. It'll be a 2 clicks per character because it clicks going down, clicks going up. This one, you might hear it, come back out, but it's not that kind of sound. As for plugins, you have a connection on the left side and the top side, so you can pick whichever you want. On the other side, you have a USB, which I believe is for extensions, so this could be used for possibly the verification purpose. Have you ever seen people use PS4 controllers to verify their third-party controller where they plug it into the side so it continues to have pass-through? Otherwise, you can look at getting something like what I'd probably recommend, more like a Wingman. This is something that you plug in to the end of your attachment for your Haute 42 to actually attach it to the console, and it goes through and automatically makes your input recognizable by the console you want to play on, no matter what device you're using for the most part. As long as you're using a mainstream leverless controller, or in that case, any controller, it should be able to take your inputs and turn them into readable ones by the machine that are tournament legal. Know what I mean by tournament legal? Well, there are certain things you can do with these controllers that you can't quite do on a normal controller. One, for instance, is hold up and down at the same time. Because of how a D input works, you have to press down or up, and when you do it, you'll just end up on one or the other. You may be able to press really hard on both, but that'll essentially bottom out the controller, so you'll end up with neutral. And so, because of that, when you hold these two, what you should be doing is not jumping. If your character's jumping while holding this button or holding these 2 buttons, your character should be standing still. If they're jumping, that's technically against the rules for how a controller should be read by a console. So that lies in the issue of your device itself, which, as far as their website, Haute 42 has firmware updates that I believe you can do through that USB extension input. So if you're having problems with SOCD cleaning for the game you're playing or anything like that, you can probably check there to fix it. As far as visuals, this is a super small pad. You can see all the buttons are crammed right up against each other, but it does feel quite comfortable on the hands. My hands don't often touch while playing this with how they sit. My thumbs might, but honestly, that just means you have 2 buttons for the jump, which on my Victrix Pro I've never tried. side, it is something that is interesting and could lead to some more interesting, immediately hitting jump and, light punch to see what happens. I might be able to just get some little off the ground gameplay by doing that, where I couldn't do it on a more spread out device. The RGB itself looks really pretty. It's nothing really to write home about, but it's very gamer. It's very gamer, very cool. I personally like how it looks. I love the just super compact look of this device, how you can see on the back all the different little areas where the switches go, where the ribbon cable is for the OLED screen, the name. I think it's just super cool, and it is so cheap. It only comes in at $50. I believe it's already prime shipped by the actual company on Amazon. So if you're looking for a hot pad, honestly, I'd recommend this one pretty highly, and if you end up wanting to take it out to bars and places, I think it's easier to just get yourself a wingman or something like that and plug this sucker in, but it's very cool. I think it's worth the money if you're looking for a cheap way to try out leverless. If you really are into using just, your $50, just get something that works immediately. I believe Sony has a levered version, lever being, the actual little control stick that you use and see in arcades, an arcade stick. If you want a levered version, I believe Sony has one for about $50 that they sell. But I will warn, when you're using something like leverless, the nice thing is when your hands are so small in the pad, it works fine. But on a levered, you kind of need to get a hold of it because you're going to be jerking the thing left and right. And so I found on the other one, I end up playing a lot more like this, where my pinky was under or my thumb was under to hold the thing, so I could do this on the other one. And that feels a little weird, but you can get used to anything. People can win on, GameCube fishing sticks if they get it modded and get it ready and it SOD reads correctly. So that is really all there is to say about the Haute 42. It's an awesome little leverless controller, and it's super portable. You could just throw this in your bag. These switches don't have much room under them, so I wouldn't be worried about them being in there and getting smushed or pressed or anything like that. These are little acrylic buttons or little plastic ones you could just pop off and add in new switches. Maybe you like more of a thwacky sound, or maybe you have some pre-lubed switches from your artisanal keyboard you want to throw in there. You can really do whatever you want. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. But otherwise, thank you all for watching this quick review of the Haute 42, and take care.